Marco Rubio is really a superb Secretary of State of the United States. And I want to show you here him being challenged by Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation, where he faces the challenges around America's strike on Iran and is so clear on the truth and morality of America's case for doing this. Have a watch.
Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
That's irrelevant. I think that question being asked in the media, that's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have
that is
everything
the
they need
key
to build a
point
weapon.
in U.S. intelligence assessments. You know
no,
that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's
that
not.
The political decision had not
I know
been
that better
made.
than you know that, and I know that that's not the case.
But I'm asking you whether the order was given.
And the people who say that, it doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons. Because they can quickly make it 90. They have all the elements. They have. Why do they have a space program? Is Iran going to go to the moon? No, they're trying to build an ICBM.
No, but
so
that's a question. That's a question. That's a question of intent. And you know, in the intelligence assessment, that it was that Iran wanted to be a threshold state and use this leverage. I'm talking about the public March assessment, and that's why I was asking you if you know something more from March.
But that's also an inaccurate representation of it. That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program. So why would you enrich uranium at 60%? Right. If you don't intend to one day use it to take it to 90 and build a weapon? Right. Why are you developing ICBMs? Why do you have 8,000 short-range missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long mid-range missiles that you continue to develop? Why do you do all these things? They have everything they need for a nuclear weapon. They have the delivery mechanisms. They have the enrichment capability. They have the highly enriched uranium that is stored. Yes. That's all we need to see.
Right. Well,
especially in the hands of a regime that's already involved in terrorism and proxies and all kinds of things around. They are the source of all this
instability. And no one's disputing that. I'm not doing that here. And they were censured at the IAEA for that enrichment and for violating their non-proliferation agreements. I was simply asking if we had intelligence that there was an order to weaponize, because you said weaponization ambitions.
Well, we have intelligence that they have everything they need to build a nuclear weapon, and that's more than enough.
Okay.
Absolutely brilliant. He is so articulate in making the case and explaining what it should be so obviously sane to, I think, sometimes an insane line of questioning. I want to show you another clip of Senator Rubio in a second, but before that, just to touch on this whole debacle that we just saw. I don't know what it is that people can be so naive about evil aggressors' intentions, and they try to come up with any excuse in the book. Oh no, well, Margaret suggests that they're just, maybe they're just using it for leverage. Maybe that's what's going on. They don't actually want to use the weapons. Where does this denial of reality come from? We see it also in the Israeli quote-unquote Palestinian conflict. Total denial of reality that there's no legitimate grievance going on by the Palestinians. The whole thing from start to finish has been about trying to eradicate Israel, and it's been about ideological hatred. And they just want to deny this and make it seem all so nuanced and understandable. Unfortunately, this is what they did in World War II, just before World War II. Hitler, he's just Germany's just upset about what happened prior to, after World War I and the Treaty of Versailles, and we were just a bit too harsh on Germany, and they just, if we could just be a little bit better towards them, then things will be fine. But of course, that's not the case. What really was the case was that Hitler was a genocidal maniac who wanted global domination. But what we have is something called normalcy bias. We can't imagine that people are that outrageously evil, so we have to normalize it somehow. And this is a very, very dangerous path to go down, because it means that you ignore threats. As Senator Rubio said, we could see they're trying to enrich uranium to the point past any peaceful purposes. They're building up these weaponry arsenal. They're hiding it all under these mountains. The UN Atomic Agency are saying they're at a critical point. They say death to Israel, death to America the whole time. What more do you want? It reminds me of that line of George Orwell. Only an intellectual could say something so stupid. Anyway, let's watch this other clip of Marco Rubio again, being a superb statesman.
What they want is a secret program buried in the mountain where no one can see it and inspectors can only come when they say they can come. If that's what they want, then they're going to have big problems, because this is a dangerous, violent, radical regime. Not the Iranian people. We have no problem. We didn't hit Iranian people last night. We hit nuclear facilities. And if what they want is some secret program that looks nothing like the civil nuclear programs around the world, it looks a lot like you're trying to build a bomb, they're going to continue to have problems, not just with us, but with many other countries in the world.
Problems like what? What do you mean?
Like the problems they're facing right now. Listen, why do we have bases in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Qatar and UAE? All of those bases are there to help protect those countries from Iran. Why did Hezbollah exist? Because of Iran. What does Hamas exist? Because of Iran. How do the Houthis exist? Because of Iran. Who built the IEDs that maimed and killed American soldiers in Iraq? Iran. They're behind every problem in this region. They are the sole source of instability in the entire Middle East, and the world's been paying a price for this for 40-something years. Imagine those people having a nuclear weapon, just one nuclear weapon, or even the capability to being on the threshold of having a nuclear weapon. That's what the world was facing. That is unacceptable. President Trump did the world a favor last night, and now Iran should sort of wake up, the Iranian regime should wake up and say, okay, if we really want nuclear energy in our country, there's a way to do it. That offer's still there. We're prepared to talk to them tomorrow and start working on that. Steve Witkoff has traveled extensively around the world trying to reach that deal with them, but they play too many games. They play way too many games, and now they've found out.
Thank God for people like Senator Marco Rubio, honestly, because there are too many people who, frankly, don't want to face the music, who don't want to look at reality as it is and have their heads buried in the sand, as we saw with that presenter, Margaret Brennan. Thank God for people like Rubio who have that kind of moral clarity. And let's just hope this rubs off on more people, because we cannot afford to have normalcy bias in a world of leaders that are extremists like this. People need to understand that sometimes people don't think simply about what's pragmatically in their benefit. They think ideologically. And the Ayatollah Khomeini and other leaders around the world, they put their ideology first. It's not just about what's best for them, how to make the most money, how to have the most political power. This is ideological. So until you can understand that, you cannot address the problem head on, and you'll continue to be led down the garden path by people who will bank on your naivety. We can't allow that to happen anymore.
Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.